Morning. It's Monday, March 28th, and President Biden has come up with a new tax plan, a new minimum tax on households worth more than $100 million. That's what he wants to put into his new budget. He wants to ensure that the very wealthiest Americans pay a 20% tax on their income and their rising assets each year. Now, this proposal would affect about 20,000 households in this country. That's a larger number than I thought. There are 20,000 households in this country worth over $100 million. That's very hard to believe. Anyhow, if this tax plan went into effect, they would pay a 20% tax on a combination of income, as typically defined, and on their unrealized gains of unsold assets, such as stock and closely held businesses. Now that's a lot of shit. Why would I want to pay on an unsold asset? Suppose I have 100 shares of Amazon, which are worth about $3,200 now. So that's $320,000. And then they want me to pay a 20% tax on the unrealized gains, right? Well, suppose I bought that thing for $3,000, so I'm supposed to pay 20% on the $200,000 that I made, or whatever the number is. But when it goes down, are they going to let me deduct the difference? No. So I could have lots of stocks that have risen in price, and then when the market turns and they go down, I don't get a tax deduction or anything on those things. So this is a dumb plan. It's a dumb plan because they are not talking about the people who really should be paying these taxes. And I have said this many times in the past, right? And I think part of this whole scenario is leveled at companies like Amazon and Facebook and Meta because of the corporate exemptions. That's what we should be going after, the corporate exemptions. Change the corporation taxes. You have corporate exemptions that are in existence for over 100 years. But they're still used. There's something like 170 or 180 different corporate exemptions. Take a good hard look at those exemptions and figure out what really makes sense in today's day and age and change the tax law according to that. Do away with corporate exemptions. And the other thing they should consider is that if a corporation made a profit and because of all their exemptions they didn't pay any taxes, they should still have to pay some tax. So if you want to collect 20%, collect it from the corporations. Collect it from the companies like Amazon that had an $11 billion profit but didn't pay any taxes because they had all their exemptions and all the other things that go with running a corporation. The place to get the money is at the corporations, not at the businesses and not at the wealthiest individuals. If you go after the corporations, you're going to get the wealthiest individuals somehow or other. It is stupid to single out a group of people, those who have over $100 million. That doesn't make any sense to me. Yes, they're very wealthy and they should pay their taxes. And maybe we have to raise the tax rate a little bit. Maybe that would be fair. But taxing unrealized gains is stupidity. It's a foolish plan, and I don't know why his Secretary of the Treasury or whoever else is involved in finances allows him to make a statement like this. You know, corporations get away with murder because everything they buy, they get away with. Take a look at the robots. Now, I love robots. Take a look at the robots. Corporation goes out and spends $50,000 per robot. Okay? And the robots replace 4 or 5 employees because they work 24/7. and they take no vacation. They take no piss breaks. They're just there working 24/7. And the only thing you have to do with them is maybe spray a little oil on them and polish them up every now and then. Maybe you shut the factory down for half an hour or some reason and clean up the spot. But the robots are there. And you pay $50,000 for the robot. And he gets none of these other benefits. But you get a benefit every year because you depreciate the value of that robot. So I get a $50,000 robot, no employee, no health insurance, none of those things that I have to pay for. And then I get a depreciation allowance on the robot. Does that make sense to you? That's how screwed up the place is. If you replace an employee with a robot, then you should be paying taxes. You should be paying taxes for every robot's working as if he was an employee. So if you hired a robot to replace a $50,000 person, right, then you should be paying the taxes on that $50,000 person, whatever that number is. So you could pretend that person has a wife and 2 children or whatever it is, and then you pay the money. But you don't get a depreciation allowance, and you don't get anything else because you put people on the street. You put X number of employees on the street by hiring a robot. There should be some kind of penalty for that. Now, does that sound crazy? Maybe it does to many businessmen. I'm destroying the business. Well, we have a problem in this country. You either pay up or we go bankrupt. We go screwed. We're getting screwed left and right with a tax cut that really didn't reach down below the high income levels. We had a tax cut. Our wonderful past president had a tax cut, and that didn't help any middle-class family. It certainly didn't help any low-income family. So if you want to do a couple of things, you should figure out how to get all these people out of poverty in some way, shape, or form, and you should figure out how to collect taxes properly. And look at all the corporate exemptions. Look at the things they get away with legally. We're not talking about cheating or anything. We're talking about legal positions that corporations can take. And then, what about all the money they stash overseas? What about all the money they make in countries that are not the United States that really don't get taxed? Every penny that a corporation makes should be taxed in the area that they come from. When I worked in New Jersey, I had to pay New York taxes, New York City taxes, even though I was working in Jersey. Do corporations pay taxes on the money they make overseas? I don't think so. So there's a lot to be done with the tax code, and just this one thing about $100 million and unrealized gains. Unrealized gains can disappear in a week in the stock market. So I don't think that's the proper approach. The proper approach is to go after corporations, go after their exemptions, and figure out how to change the tax code so it's fairer. Take away a lot of shit and get money. So I leave you with that this morning, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.